channel. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Katie Wismer. I'm an author and an editor. I have 7 books out currently. I don't really know what this video is gonna be. I just kind of thought we would start a vlog. So I'm currently working on Bloodless Ties, which is the 3rd book in my Marionette series. It's coming out in November. And I'm trying to finish this draft of the book before the end of the month. It's going to my critique partner, and I didn't realize there was only like 3 days left of the month. So I am trying to work my way through all of my remaining edits. I had one beta reader go through the book in its entirety, an earlier draft. I have another one going through it currently. I think she's like halfway through. So I've gotten some feedback on the book that I've been implementing. I had things of my own that I knew I wanted to fix. So the book is definitely a lot better off now than it had been before we started, but there's still just like some things I'm still working on, and there's a couple of problems I don't know how to fix. So I've been kind of putting them off, hoping I would come up with a solution by the time that it rolled around to fix those, but I can't show you my list because I don't want to spoil things. Almost everything is scratched off of my list except for these couple of things that I don't know how to fix, and I'm like, well, am I gonna figure this out? So I would just take you along while I try and like problem solve and figure some stuff out today. There are a couple of things that are just like throughout the book fixes that I want to work on, which I haven't been doing because I feel like I just want to start like reading through it at the beginning and work my way through and check for like continuity and my character's emotional arc through the story. Just adding some little details here and there to help flesh out one point of view characters chapters from the other, because like this one would have knowledge that this one doesn't have, so I want to like go in and add some more details like that. Little details again, like tying back old conflicts and subplots from previous books in this series, even if it's not like a big part of this book, just like mentioning it so it's like still in there, it's still like an ongoing part of the world, basically. Tossing in a little more foreshadowing. And yeah, those are like the easy little things that I'm gonna do. I still have one scene missing that I need to write, but I don't know what it's gonna be yet, and I don't want it to be like fluffy and filler. I want it to like have a purpose, so I need to figure out something. The ending overall feels a little bit rushed, so I need to figure out how I'm gonna fix that. I have a lot of characters in this book. This series overall has like a really large cast of characters, but this book in particular has so many characters, so I'm playing this like weird balancing game of trying to make sure they're all developed and they're all relevant and not overwhelm the reader by having too many characters. So I'm toying with the idea of like, how can I include these characters more? How can I make them more relevant? Or can I like cut down the number of characters? Can I combine them into one character instead of having more than one, you know? So that's it. But then the one thing I am trying to figure out how I'm gonna fix is actually really interesting. It's something that my beta reader who's currently reading this brought up. And it's not even something I had even, this hadn't occurred to me until she said it, but as soon as she said it, I was like, oh my God, yes. I don't know how to fix that though. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to explain this without it being confusing. The beta reader before her always points out timeline stuff, and like my details are kind of confusing to her about like, what day is it? What time of the day is it? What month, what part of the month is it? Like all of that kind of like little details, which I'm bad at it, so it's a good thing that she points it out. So basically, because of her feedback, I went back in and I added all of these little details in order to keep the timeline straight. But then this new beta reader goes through, and all of those details that I added just trying to keep the timeline straight, especially with the 2 different point of views, she was like, it felt like you were like building up to this specific time that kept being mentioned, and then nothing happens with this time, so it's like really anticlimactic. We just skip over it. And I was like, I wasn't even trying to like build up to that and make it feel like it was gonna be a thing, but I accidentally did. So now I either need to find a way to keep the timeline consistent but not make it feel like I'm building up to that, or I need to freaking do something for this thing I just built up to. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna fix this. I don't know how I want to handle this yet. So that's what's going on. Something, I did cut one scene because I'm toying with the idea of including it in book 4 instead of in book 3, but I haven't completely decided yet if that's what I want to do, or if I want to just like find a different place for it in this book. So that's another thing. I kind of like taking it out of this book actually, because I don't know, it's like the order of the reveals I feel like has a completely different effect if this doesn't happen before this. So if I end up moving it to book 4, it'll happen after this, and I feel like that'll have a very different effect than if it had been before. So I kind of like that different dynamic. We'll see. We'll see what we can get done today. I'm trying not to be like super upset, but I'm so disappointed. I can't even remember what video I was talking about it in, how I don't usually hire developmental editors, and I don't usually work with editors off of Reedsy because I had a negative experience in the past, but I wanted to give it a go. I wanted to give it a second shot for Broken Perfect Lies and hire a developmental editor because I was struggling with some of the developmental stuff. And I was just like trying to be optimistic, hope for the best, see what we get, and I just got the feedback back today, and I think you can kind of tell how I feel about it. I don't know if it's just because I'm an editor myself, so I'm comparing it to my own work and what I would return to a client. I would never return an edit letter like this to a client for this price. Like over $1,000 for not even 2,000 words of feedback. The majority of the edit letters filler, which I understand, copy and pasted from every single letter you do with like the basics, because I do that too, I get it. I also sent along some questions for her that I had specifically, like, I'm struggling with this, like hoping for suggestions, and basically all she did was say, yeah, that is an issue. I know, that's what I said. I was hoping for some help fixing it and coming up with a solution, and I was worried this was gonna feel like a waste of money, and it does. Lessons learned, I guess. The one good thing to come of this was in giving myself a deadline for when I needed to turn it in to her. I really got myself into gear with editing this, so that kind of jump-started my desire to keep working on this, but she returned it late. And it just feels like someone who wrote an essay the night before it was due and just half-assed it in like high school. Like there might be like 1 or 2 suggestions in here that I can take, but definitely not the money's worth. So I'm disappointed, just because I feel like the value that I got doesn't equal how much I paid. But then also, I've been struggling with this book, and I was hoping for some help, and I was hoping for some like good insight, and nothing she told me was like stuff I didn't know. And some of the things she suggested, I just like, I'm straight up like, what? Like, no, I will absolutely not be doing that, which happens. Editing is subjective, and I always say that to my clients, like, take or leave whatever I say. You don't have to implement all of my suggestions, but like, I don't know, I was hoping for something helpful. Anyway, thought I'd update you on that one.